guess the easiest place to start with the Alliance is right off the top with Ryan Suzuki. We've heard so much about him, but just your thoughts on watching him in London this year.
Yeah, and actually I coached Ryan for 3 years, from minor Pee Wee to minor Bantam. Great kid off the ice. Works hard. He's got extremely good vision. Moves the puck very well, and he's just overall, like I said, he's a good hockey player. And I mean, his points and his style of play speaks for itself. And I think Barry got a very talented hockey player, and one that's going to be able to control their offense for years to come.
Next off the board from the Alliance was a defenseman from a minor midget program that we don't hear too much about, especially in the first round, but good for the Chatham-Kent Cyclones to send Grayson Ladd to the Kitchener Rangers. Yeah,
Grayson's a good-sized right-handed shot defenseman who spent the first half of the season on the shelf. He had some injuries actually playing up Junior B, but aside from that, when you watch him, you just know he's a hockey player, or he's going to be a good hockey player. And I think he could step right into the league. His skating is probably his greatest asset, and he played in all situations, obviously on that team, penalty kill, power play, and overall just a really, really good skater. So.
One of Ryan Suzuki's teammates, Aiden Pruder, London Junior Knight to Saginaw at 24, just outside of the first round. But
yes.
What did the Spirit getting in Aiden?
A great two-way player. A number one guy in the penalty kill, number one guy that can run your power play, 5-on-5. He hounds the puck and he works hard for the puck. And another very intelligent hockey player. I think a lot of players from that London Junior Knights team are extremely have extremely high IQ. So, but with Aiden, you're getting a good player that's just a hockey player, wants to be a hockey player, and can play in any situation at any given time.
Went back-to-back in terms of the Alliance, but at 30 and number 32, both players from the Waterloo Wolves minor midgets, Keane Washkaruk and Nate Allenson. Keane to Mississauga, Nate to Barrie. A couple players that went right to the finals and gave London a go.
Yeah, Keenan is a good, gritty player, but he's got a nice set of hands on him too. And when I was coaching my Elgin team this year, he always seemed to score a nice highlight goal against us every game. And no matter what you tried to do to stop him, he just never stops moving his feet. Good, hard-working player. Nate, in my opinion, is one of the top defensemen in the Alliance. Offensively gifted, D-man, quarterback the power play there. Another guy with good size and can skate well and a great vision on the ice.
You mentioned Elgin, just reminds us of Travis Konechny, who
prior
to Ryan was the last Alliance player to be first overall.
Yes.
Maybe not fair to compare the two, but seeing that loop, it's good for that area to have such top end talent.
Yeah, and some nice top end talent. I think overall so far in the Alliance, I think we're looking at about close to 30 players drafted. So it's good to see, and you're right. You got Pruder and obviously Suzuki and Ladd and Washuk from Waterloo and Allenson. So a lot of good hockey players coming from that area this year. It's been a good year.
Great, thanks, James.
Thank you. Yeah, a little different for the Alliance this year. We had 3 first-round picks. First one being Denny Gore, going to Owen Sound, high-end, talented hockey player that sees the ice really well and does everything at a high speed. So Owen Sound's getting a good playmaking center with him. And then the next, Landon McCallum, who I kind of compare to Brad Marchand. Love to have him on your team. Hate to play against him. Does everything really well. He's on the first power play unit, the first penalty kill unit, and sees a lot of 5-on-5 ice for his team in Brantford. So I think Sudbury got a really good player in him, and again another centerman that can step in and do well in the league. The third one that went in the first round was Brett Harrison out of the London Junior Knights program. Tall, lengthy center who I think is gonna only get better. I see a lot of upside in Brett, and again a good center that does things really well. It generates a lot of scoring chances off the rush. So in total we had 40 players drafted in the 15 rounds this year. I think last year we had just over 30. So a pretty good season overall for the Alliance. Yeah, it's all what you do now if you've been drafted, right? And it's all what you do now if you haven't been drafted. And those that got drafted, it's the first step. It's a long road, and like I said last year, there's a lot of O2s that didn't make the league this year that are going to be fighting for spots, and there's a lot of O1s that are going to be coming in and taking a lot of ice time. So for these O3s, they got to come in and be ready to go at the beginning of the season training camp next year. For those that haven't or didn't get drafted, I mean, it doesn't end there. We talk about the player from North Bay, Justin Brezzo, who scored 61 goals this year. He was a late draft pick, but still, he was a guy that probably wasn't considered to play in the league, and he finished second in scoring. So the end of the road, the end of the journey isn't right now. It just begins.
Great. James, the Alliance, maybe not so strong numerically, but there's certainly a lot of good players that have heard their names called.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little different than last year when we had Ryan Suzuki and Aiden Pruder and Grayson Ladd go in the first couple rounds. We had Dylan Robinson, Blake Butler, and Ryan Gagne all go pretty close. Gagne and went a little later than Butler and Robinson in the third round. But we're almost at 30 players drafted so far. Not the top high-end skill this year, like I said last year with the 01s, but a lot of good hockey players that I think will, once they grow into their bodies and they improve on their skills, could make an impact on the OHL.
Similar to the question I asked Freddie, I mean, not to pick favorites, but as you saw the draft progress, I mean, some of the players that really kind of caught your eye during the season that maybe you didn't see the looks right at the first round or so, but can make an impact in this league.
Yeah, a player like Ben McFarland, who went to Guelph, is a good 200-foot player. Plays the game, what people say, the right way. Great on the penalty kill. Helped lead his team offensively. Matthew Maggio, another player, very skilled, scored some of the nicest goals I've seen all year in any league. So it's a treat to watch those players. Sheldon Saragulo for London is another gifted defenseman too as well. So there is some really good talent that comes out of that, but sometimes these guys just get lost in the shuffle, right? The GTHL is a very strong league this year, so sometimes players from the Alliance get overlooked. But like I said earlier, we've had a number of kids get drafted so far. We'll probably get about 35 overall.
And maybe just kind of final thoughts on your scouting season and maybe a message to the players, because you get to know them so well in the teams, and it's kind of a bittersweet feeling and come draft day when it's new beginnings, but it also brings the end of the season.
Yeah, just keep working hard. I've made some phone calls to some of the kids that have already been drafted, and the one question I asked them was, what are you doing for the summer? What are you going to do over the summer? And a lot of them, we're working hard. I got my own personal trainer, and you got to keep at it, right? You're going to be going in their next team if you've been drafted to an OHL club and fighting for spots with some of the other O2 players, some of the 01 players, and some 2000 players. So you got to just keep working hard and keep working on your skill and improve on all those skills, and only good things can happen.
Great.
Thanks, James.